Claire sat at the kitchen table staring at the unopened letter in front of her. The house was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that made every creak of the floorboards echo like a secret. Her thoughts were a tangle of worry and hope-worry. For her family, for the choices she had made, and hope that maybe, just maybe, life could surprise her with something good. The morning sunlight spilled across the table, casting warm patterns on the letter, as if the universe was giving her a small nudge to open it. She hesitated, but the pull of curiosity won. Outside, the neighborhood stirred with the familiar sounds of live children laughing on the street, a dog barking somewhere down the lane, a car engine starting. Claire felt a strange mix of isolation and connection, aware of the world moving on without her. She had spent so long trying to maintain control, trying to do what was right for everyone else, that she had forgotten how to let herself feel. The letter in her hand was small, unassuming, but it carried the possibility of change. And that terrified her more than she wanted to admit. She looked toward the living room, where Ethan, her teenage stepson, was quietly reading a book. He had grown into a thoughtful, caring young man. And though their relationship had been distant at first, she now appreciated his presence more than she could express. He didn't say much, but his quiet support and understanding made her feel less alone. Claire smiled faintly at him, and he returned it with a small nod, the kind that said more than words ever could. She felt a flicker of warmth in her chest, reminder that connection could be gentle and comforting without drama or complication. Taking a deep breath, Claire opened the letter. It was an invitation to a local art exhibit, a chance to step outside her routine and experience something she had loved once but had abandoned over the years. Memories of painting classes, sketchbooks, and afternoons spent with friends flooded back, bringing a nostalgic smile to her face. She realized how much she had neglected herself in the pursuit of being a good mother and a good wife. The letter was not just a call to an event, was a call to rediscover who she was outside her roles. And the thought excited her more than she wanted to admit. As she read, her mind wandered to the small moments she had shared with Ethan in the past weeks. Simple conversations, shared chores, laughter over small mistakes. They had formed a quiet bond built on trust and mutual respect. There was no romance here, no inappropriate attraction, just the reassurance of human connection. And yet it reminded her how much she had craved understanding and empathy, something she hadn't realized she was missing. Claire felt the stirrings of hope that life could offer unexpected support and friendship, and she cherished it like a rare treasure. Suddenly, a knock at the door startled her. She jumped slightly, her heart racing for a moment, before she realized it was just her neighbor, Linda, bringing over a plate of cookies. Linda was cheerful and talkative, a stark contrast to Claire's quiet nature. They exchanged pleasantries, and Claire found herself laughing more freely than she had in months. The small interruption was a welcome distraction, a reminder that the world outside her thoughts was vibrant and alive, full of people willing to share kindness without expecting anything in return. Once Linda left, Claire returned to her letter, thinking about the exhibit and the idea of stepping outside her comfort zone. She wondered if she could go alone or if she should invite a friend. The thought of going by herself felt liberating and scary at the same time. It was a small act of courage, but to Claire it felt monumental. She imagined walking through the gallery, taking in the colors, the shapes, the emotions captured on canvas, and feeling a sense of renewal wash over her. Ethan peeked into the kitchen again, noticing her thoughtful expression. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly. Claire nodded, smiling softly. "Yes, I'm thinking," she replied. Ethan didn't press further. He simply walked over and sat at the table, offering silent companionship. There was something reassuring about his presence, a reminder that life was not just about achievements and obligations, but about small moments of connection and understanding. Claire realized she didn't have to face her fears alone. Support often came in unexpected forms. The afternoon passed in a haze of preparation. Claire decided she would attend the exhibit even if she went alone. She set aside her doubts and focused on the small joys, choosing her outfit, arranging her schedule, and anticipating the colors and emotions she might encounter. Each task was infused with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in a long time. A small rebellion against the monotony of routine. She felt a thrill of possibility, the kind that made her heart beat faster and her spirit lift. As evening approached, Thou settled into a calm rhythm. Ethan was absorbed in his homework, and Claire finally allowed herself to pause. She reflected on the letter, on the quiet support of those around her, and on the courage it took to step into something unfamiliar. The exhibit represented more than art. It represented a choice to embrace life fully, to open herself to new experiences, and to trust that the world could offer joy, connection, and inspiration in unexpected ways. By the time she went to bed, Claire felt a mixture of anticipation and serenity. The next day held the promise of adventure and rediscovery, and she welcomed it with an open heart. She understood that the first step was always the hardest, but once taken, it could lead to growth, understanding, and unexpected friendships. Her world, once predictable and constrained, now shimmered with the possibility of new connections, and for the first time in months, she felt ready to embrace it fully. Cliffhanger, as she drifted to sleep. Claire's thoughts lingered on the exhibit and the people she might meet. There was an inexplicable feeling that something significant was about to happen, a gentle stir in her life that could change her perspective forever. The anticipation left her heart fluttering, eager for tomorrow, and curious about what new bonds and experiences awaited her. The next morning, Claire woke up with a strange mixture of excitement and nervousness. The sun filtered softly through the curtains, painting golden streaks across her room. Today was the day she had promised herself to attend the art exhibit. She dressed carefully, selecting a blouse that was both elegant and comfortable, feeling that small surge of confidence that comes when someone decides to embrace life despite uncertainty. As she looked in the mirror, she noticed the faint smile lingering on her lips. For the first time in weeks, she felt anticipation without guilt or worry. Downstairs, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee greeted her. Ethan was already at the kitchen table, focused on his homework, his pencils scratching rhythmically against the paper. "Morning," Claire said, her voice light with excitement. Ethan looked up and smiled. "Morning. Big day?" he asked. She nodded, feeling a rush of warmth at his curiosity and support. He had grown into a thoughtful young man, and though he rarely needed to talk much, his presence felt grounding, reminding her that she wasn't alone in navigating life's unpredictable currents. Claire packed her bag with the essentials: wallet, phone, and the letter that had sparked this adventure. Each item seemed to symbolize her decision to embrace new experiences. The neighborhood hummed with the usual activity as she stepped outside, the crisp air invigorating her senses. Walking to the gallery, she noticed small things she had often ignored: the way sunlight reflected off a passing car, the laughter of children playing, the faint smell of fresh-baked bread from a nearby bakery. Every detail reminded her that life had beauty in its simplicity, and she felt herself breathing a little easier with each step. As Claire approached the gallery, she paused at the entrance, taking in the large glass doors and the vibrant posters announcing the exhibits. Her heart fluttered with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. This was a world she had once loved, a world of colors, textures, and emotions captured on canvas. She pushed open the door, and the gentle chime welcomed her in. Inside, the space was filled with people quietly observing the art. Some discussing pieces in hushed tones, others lost in contemplation. Claire felt a momentary shyness, but quickly allowed herself to relax, letting the energy of the room seep into her. Her eyes were drawn to a painting near the entrance. Landscape of rolling hills under a dramatic sky. The colors were vibrant, yet soothing, and she felt an unexpected sense of peace. As she examined the brushstrokes, a man beside her offered a polite smile and nodded toward the painting. "It's breathtaking, isn't it?" he said softly. Claire nodded, returning the smile. "It really is. The colors feel alive," she replied. The small interaction, simple as it was, reminded her that connections could be meaningful without being intrusive. That shared appreciation could foster moments of warmth and understanding. Moving deeper into the gallery, Claire wandered past portraits, abstracts, and still-life paintings. Each piece seemed to tell a story, some joyful, others tinged with sadness. She felt a range of emotions, from nostalgia to inspiration. As though the artwork was speaking directly to her experiences, her dreams, and her unspoken longings. For a moment, she forgot the outside world, the worries, responsibilities, and routines, and allowed herself to be fully present in this space. It was liberating, a reminder that life had layers of beauty waiting to be discovered. As she walked, Claire noticed a group gathered near a corner display. Intrigued, she joined them and discovered a young artist discussing his work, explaining the inspiration behind each piece. His enthusiasm was contagious, and she found herself drawn to his passion and authenticity. Listening to him felt a surge of motivation, a gentle reminder that pursuing one's passions could bring fulfillment in unexpected ways. The encounter sparked memories of her own creative interests, ones she had long set aside, and she promised herself she would nurture them again. Ethan's supportive presence lingered in her thoughts, reminding her that meaningful connections didn't always have to be intense or dramatic. They could be quiet, subtle, and still leave a profound impact. Claire felt gratitude for the people in her life, for the encouragement that often went unspoken but was always felt. She realized that relationships were built on trust, understanding, and the willingness to be present for one another, even in the smallest ways. This insight made her feel lighter, more grounded, and unexpectedly hopeful. Hours passed as she explored the gallery, absorbing the ambiance and engaging with fellow visitors. She laughed softly at humorous interpretations of certain pieces and nodded thoughtfully at others. Every interaction, no matter how brief, contributed to a sense of belonging she had not realized she had been missing. By the time she reached the final room, her heart felt full, as though the gallery itself had breathed new life into her spirit. It wasn't just art. It was a lesson in observation, empathy, and the richness of human experience. As Claire prepared to leave, she paused by a window overlooking the street. The late afternoon sunlight bathed the city in a golden glow. She reflected on the day, the courage it had taken to step outside her routine, the small joys and the meaningful connections she had encountered. There was a quiet satisfaction in knowing that life could surprise her, that opportunities for growth and fulfillment existed in the most unexpected places. She felt ready to return home with a renewed perspective, carrying with her a sense of purpose and hope. Stepping outside, Claire noticed a familiar face, Linda, her neighbor, smiling warmly. "Did you enjoy it?" Linda asked. Claire nodded enthusiastically. "More than I imagined. It reminded me how much beauty there is around us if we take the time to notice." They chatted briefly about the exhibits, sharing laughter and reflections. Even small exchanges like these reinforced her belief that human connection, no matter how simple, could enrich life profoundly. Back at home, the quiet comfort of the house welcomed her. Ethan was still engrossed in his homework, occasionally glancing up with a curious smile. Claire prepared a cup of tea, savoring the warmth and tranquility. Sitting by the window, she reflected on her experience, understanding that the courage to step into something unfamiliar often led to the most meaningful personal growth. Today had been a testament to that truth, a reminder that life offered richness to those willing to seek it. As evening fell, Claire felt a subtle anticipation. She knew that change didn't happen in a single day, but the seeds had been planted. She could feel them taking root in awareness of her own desires, a commitment to embracing new experiences, and an openness to connection with others. It was a quiet revolution within her, one that promised further growth, insight, and emotional richness in the days to come. Cliffhanger as she finally went upstairs to prepare for bed. Claire's thoughts lingered on the young artist she had met and the fleeting yet meaningful conversations with strangers who had left impressions on her heart. There was a sense that her journey was only beginning, that the next encounter, unexpected and transformative, might challenge her, inspire her, or opened doors to experiences she had long forgotten existed. The anticipation kept her awake longer than usual, a gentle thrill that tomorrow would bring more surprises and deeper understanding of herself and the world around her. The next morning, Claire woke with a sense of quiet anticipation. The events of the previous day lingered in her mind like a vivid dream. She had felt alive in ways she hadn't for months, noticing beauty, feeling inspired, and reconnecting with herself. Today, she promised herself, would be about taking the small discoveries of yesterday and applying them to her everyday life, letting her newfound perspective shape her interactions, her creativity, and her emotional well-being. As she moved through the house, she found Ethan already at the table, organizing his schedule for the day. He looked up with a bright smile. "Morning, Claire. You look happy," he said, a simple observation that carried warmth. She returned the smile, feeling seen and acknowledged. "Morning. I am," she replied, realizing that the happiness she felt wasn't tied to grand events or dramatic moments. That came from quiet understanding, from the sense that she could move through life with intention and openness. After breakfast, Claire decided to dedicate time to her art again. The memory of the gallery had reignited her passion, and she could feel the familiar stirrings of creativity deep inside. She set up her small workspace by the window, sunlight spilling across the table, and picked up her brushes. With each stroke, she felt herself unravel the tension that had accumulated over weeks of routine and obligation. Painting became a conversation with herself, a way to express the emotions that words could not capture. It was liberating, and as colors blended and shapes took form on the canvas, she felt an inner light rekindled. The phone rang, breaking her concentration. It was Linda, her neighbor, calling to invite her to a community art discussion later in the afternoon. Claire accepted immediately, sensing that the opportunity would allow her to connect with people who shared her interests and values. The anticipation of meeting others who could inspire, challenge, and engage her added an extra spring to her step. She prepared quickly, choosing a comfortable yet elegant outfit, one that made her feel confident without being flashy. The simple act of getting ready became a meditation in itself, a reminder that self-care and mindfulness could be found in the smallest routines. Arriving at the community center, Claire was greeted by a vibrant space filled with people of all ages, sharing ideas, discussing techniques, and exchanging stories. She found herself drawn to a group discussing the power of color in conveying emotion. Listening to their perspectives, she realized that her own experiences, the highs and lows, the quiet moments of reflection, were as valid and compelling as anyone else's. She contributed hesitantly at first, but the group welcomed her thoughts, nodding and engaging warmly. The feeling of belonging was immediate, subtle, yet deeply satisfying among the attendees. Claire noticed a familiar face, the young artist from the gallery she had met yesterday. He recognized her immediately and offered a friendly wave. They exchanged greetings, and a conversation naturally unfolded about their creative inspirations, the challenges of balancing responsibilities with personal passions, and the joy of discovering beauty in unexpected places. Claire felt a strong sense of camaraderie, realizing that shared experiences and mutual understanding could form meaningful connections without drama or expectation. The conversation left her feeling energized, motivated to continue pursuing her interests and to seek joy in her everyday life. Ethan, who had joined her briefly after school, noticed the enthusiasm in her eyes when she returned home. "You seem really happy," he remarked. Claire smiled, feeling the warmth of family connection. "I am. Today reminded me that life can surprise us, and sometimes we just need to step forward to see it," she said. Ethan nodded thoughtfully, understanding more than she expected, and the quiet affirmation strengthened the bond between them. She realized that relationships built on respect, trust, and attentiveness were often the most fulfilling and lasting. Over the next few days, Claire made small changes in her routine. She dedicated time each morning to her art, shared conversations with neighbors and friends, and allowed herself to notice the beauty in everyday moments. The simple act of observing life with curiosity and appreciation transformed mundane tasks into meaningful experiences. Even chores and errands felt lighter, infused with a sense of mindfulness and presence. She discovered that fulfillment often came not from grand gestures, but from the accumulation of small intentional choices that nurtured the spirit. One evening, while reviewing her sketches, Claire felt a gentle knock at the door. It was Linda again, carrying a small gift, a sketchbook she thought Claire might enjoy. They sat together, sipping tea, sharing stories about their lives, and discussing creative ideas. The simplicity of the evening, the ease of conversation, and the sense of mutual understanding reminded Claire of how important community and connection were in shaping emotional well-being. She felt gratitude for these relationships, realizing that support, encouragement, and shared passion were invaluable in navigating the complexities of life. As days turned into weeks, Claire noticed a subtle but profound transformation within herself. She felt more confident, present, and emotionally attuned. Her interactions with others, including Ethan, were richer, filled with greater patience, understanding, and empathy. She began mentoring a few younger artists in her neighborhood, sharing techniques and encouraging them to explore their creativity. The sense of purpose and contribution added another layer of fulfillment to her life. Reinforcing the importance of giving and connecting, that the journey also brought moments of reflection. Claire considered the choices that had led her to this point, the decision to attend the gallery, the courage to step outside her comfort zone, and the willingness to engage with new experiences. Each decision, though seemingly small at the time, had contributed to a meaningful shift in her perspective. She realized that life's richness often lay in embracing uncertainty, taking thoughtful risks, and being open to the unexpected joys that emerged along the way. One afternoon, while organizing her sketches, Claire paused and looked out the window. The neighborhood was alive with activity, sunlight catching the leaves in the trees, children playing, and neighbors chatting. She felt a profound sense of belonging, understanding that she was part of a larger tapestry of life, and that meaningful connections could be found in the most ordinary moments. Her heart was lighter, her mind clearer, and her spirit renewed. She understood that growth and fulfillment were ongoing processes, nurtured by awareness, curiosity, and engagement with the world around her. That evening, Claire reflected on the past weeks. She thought about the gallery, the community center, the people she had met, and the small steps she had taken to rediscover her passions and embrace life more fully. She realized that the experiences had not only reignited her creativity, but it also deepened her emotional resilience, allowing her to approach challenges with calmness, confidence, and optimism. She felt prepared to face the future, knowing that she could navigate it with intention and joy. Cliffhanger resolution. As Claire prepared for bed, she paused one last time at the window, looking at the twinkling lights of the neighborhood. A gentle breeze rustled the curtains, carrying with it the faint scent of blooming flowers. She felt a sense of anticipation, not for drama or upheaval, but for the simple, profound beauty of life unfolding. Tomorrow held new opportunities for connection, inspiration, and growth, and she welcomed it with an open heart. For Claire, the journey was no longer about escaping routine or seeking validation. It was about embracing life fully, savoring each moment and finding joy in both the extraordinary and the ordinary.